This is Power Moves.
You're on mute. You're on mute, partner.
Can you hear me now?
Got you.
All right. Once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. What's up, my partner in crime, Mr. Kevin Carr, Mr. Career Crossover?
Hey, man. How are you today in Tampa Bay? I mean, that's right. We're not up north. We're not out west. We're not in the Southwest, Midwest. We are in the deep south of Florida. What's going on? And I know you from, you'll never forget.
That's right.
The
Brooklyn's in the house. No doubt. Can't stop, won't stop. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, look at the shirt. Look at the shirt. Oh, my God. You're branded like the epitome of New York. Okay.
That's right, baby. That's right, man. The city that never sleeps, the mogul that never sleeps. You know, we're making power moves over here. And I can't wait to introduce our guest that we have. But before we get into that, let's talk about, you know, the news of what's going on in sports and in music, right? So I want you to set it off because...
Okay. Well, you know, I mean, there's just so much. Where do we begin? I really don't know what to say. Let's NBA.
That's right.
NFL, MLB,
you
know, MLS. Man, come on, college, potential fall sports. I mean, where do we start? Like everything is up in the air right now. But you know what? I think for the most part, I heard, which was really interesting, that yesterday the NBA had a perfect day of no reporting of any positive COVID anything.
That's
I thought that
huge.
was amazing.
That's huge.
Think about how much we're hearing, but they've created this ecosystem within their bubble. And yesterday, I think one of the first times they reported no positive tests. So congrats to my old employer and figuring out a model that could potentially work. Now, can it sustain itself? It seems like it may be able to do that. And you think about the midst of where we are. We're in Florida, where we're in the epicenter, but the NBA is protected. Come on, what is your secret? Pass it on, right?
I guess they follow scientists.
I don't know, man, but you know, for the most part, I do think sports is really pressing. Obviously, there's economic reasons behind it, but we are seeing, you know, baseball get ready to kick off. Predictions there, you know, division picks, World Series picks. I mean, hey, it could go. I can see the Nationals coming back, man, winning the Natty again. You know what I mean? So
we'll see.
To me, and obviously, the big talk is Patrick Mahomes signing the mega short of $50 million, the $450 million contract. So that's staggering. What an impressive accomplishment, continuing to show his mettle in a very difficult industry where, you know, football is not a longevity sport, but they give him a 10-year deal. So very interesting. A lot of stuff going on.
Absolutely. Well, in the music world, you know, it's you know, people are getting creative. You're starting to see a lot of older artists like Daddy O's getting ready to launch an album this coming Friday from Stetsasonic. You got a couple of R&B acts that's trying to come back. JD is saying that R&B needs to come back. There's a gap. So I think this whole time, you know, DJ Nice is doing work with Salesforce, you know, so really allowing him to cross market himself and build a brand. You know, when I think of D Nice, I think of you know, now he's like the unifier of the virtual world, and when it comes down to music and culture. So I'm so happy for him, and the fact that he's leading the way for other DJs to kind of have that opportunity, like my man DJ Scratch.
We talk about innovation. One of my medallions, Ingenuity, he is personifying that in the midst of COVID, you know, redefining and repositioning how you can use it to your advantage. And he's certainly, on that one evening, I'll never forget, you text me, you're like, hey, D Nice is spinning the ones and twos, you need to get on. And I'm like, what? I said, okay, I know D Nice. I love how he, how he puts it down. And then this whole universe
It's movement,
got
right?
created, and it just is a, I listened to him on LinkedIn. If you haven't heard his interview on LinkedIn, it's really powerful, very good stuff. So research that, and he talks about how it was a defining moment, one of the most defining moments of his career, and it was done all virtually.
Yeah,
So think about that innovation at the highest level.
absolutely. And I want to leave with two more topics.
Okay.
One of our previous guests, Miss Melba Moore, has the
Mm,
number one record when it comes down to well, not disco, but dance music.
exactly.
And
Right.
it's amazing. So
Okay.
shout out to Miss Melba Moore.
Okay, well,
And
maybe we
and
can
and
give the audience a little sound of that. Maybe towards the end, if DJ CEO can pull it up, we'll see. I'm challenging
right,
him right now.
exactly,
I'm
exactly.
challenging him.
And then lastly, one thing I want to before we introduce our great guest is the
Mhm.
importance of um, mental and emotional health. You know,
Absolutely.
our prayers goes out to Tamar Braxton.
Hmm.
I used to work with uh, uh, Vincent Herbert, who was her
Okay.
ex-husband,
Sure.
and you know, this whole quarantine and COVID situation, this pandemic is affecting people in so many different ways.
Hmm.
And once again, I like to share with people, just because someone is a celebrity, they're human beings just like you and I. And
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, they have feelings, they go through their ups and downs. And what you see on reality TV is not always necessarily true. They always edit it, and that's part of entertainment. So,
Hmm.
my prayers goes out to Tamar, as well as to Kanye, and 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 that craziness. So,
Oh my
without
gosh.
further ado,
Yes,
you
please.
know,
Let's move
at
on.
the end of the day, when you are trying to position yourself to be, whether an executive, whether you're looking to move up on the ladder, I gotta tell you, uh, this next guest is thebomb.com. I mean, she has an impressive resume in which she's done human resources that spans over 20 years as an interview communication, presentation, and recruitment skills expert.
Mm.
She was recruited by Abbott Laboratories in high school. So, she was like one of those geniuses, right?
Genius at 15 or
At,
something,
yeah,
being
so her
recruited.
excitement
Amazing.
for human resources was planted during that time. And her diverse expertise and knowledge comes from managing a $14 million payroll and benefits company that saw a 40% revenue increase in its most recent year.
Hmm.
And during her employment with Adecco, the world's largest staffing firm,
Sure. Heard of them.
and she's worked in the nonprofit and hospitality industry, she is focused on sharing her expertise and passion to empower talent worldwide. So she has an international human resources and operations professional, a business degrees in human resources management, and she has coached in hundreds of global professionals, students, from executives all the way down to entry level in North America, Europe, and Asia. So let's welcome to the show Miss the career coach Lori, in the place to be in the Tampa Bay, doing her damn thing. Welcome to the show, Power Moves. What's going on? Oh, wait.
Okay. You're on mute, and now we're gonna come off mute, Laurie.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you
All
Oh,
loud and clear.
right.
All
yes,
right.
I'm
What?
excited. You just got to go with the grand entry, right?
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. We
It's the
we
only
bring it.
way.
We
I
we that's what we do here.
I
We full of
sell
energy.
unique. I had to
That's
come
right.
unique. I can't come in like everybody else.
Nah,
Exactly.
not at all. Not
Exactly.
at all.
I'm
Well,
excited. Thank you both for having me.
I know we took a while to get to you, but we got to give our audience a little what we call let them marinate and tenderize them and set
Little
them up for you
massage.
to give them to give it to them, give them the real deal. So no,
I
welcome, welcome,
appreciate it.
welcome.
No, thank you. I appreciate the stage and to share with the audience and just my passion and expertise.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We're so glad that you've been able to join us today. It's so much that we'd love to cover, but we just don't have all the time in the world. So,
Sure.
Joel, where we want to start, man? Go ahead, man. Give it.
Let's start with the money, baby. Let's start with the money, right?
Show me the
So,
money.
yeah.
These
So,
days, yes, we
so,
have
so,
to ask the
do you
question.
want to ask the question about the money, Kev?
Well, you know what? It is a necessary for sure. We're not all about money here, but Lord, in this time of challenge and opportunity, still, we believe that people can still, make a living in the midst of a pandemic. So, how do
Right.
you help your clients make money, and how does that help you make money?
Yeah. Well, what I do and what my clients are looking for is something that I teach as a trainable skill. And what you need to understand early on is you don't have to go at this alone, right? Partner with the people who have the talent to help you grow and make you better and refine and polish and improve and showcase those skills. And so what I do is really help my clients identify their unique value. What's your unique trait? You don't have to stay along the same career path. You can move in a different direction. We all bring something of value. And so, what I do is help them identify what are your traits, what are your qualities, what are your characteristics that represent you. Those are transferable to anything in the world, whether you're looking for advancement, career progression, complete change. In the moment, you need to just do something now and then move into something else later, but that you can recognize that you can easily adapt because you represent yourself as having these unique traits. And that's what helps you stand out.
Okay.
And
I like that.
yeah, and so my clients' success stories become my success stories, and we refer out and we build a network and we work together, and then we start to share our talents with each other, and we all grow and we all learn as a community. I mean, it's a simple saying that says it takes a village, but that can
Hmm.
be applied to a lot of different areas of life, whether it's career, whether it's personal, whether it's right. But
Hmm.
doing it together makes it a whole lot easier.
I
No
like that.
doubt.
I like that. So
Absolutely.
what money making lessons can you share from power moves you made in the past to now?
Well, my parents instilled in me a very strong work ethic. I started working when I was 14, and at 16, I had three jobs. I had an internship with Abbott Laboratories, and I was doing two side jobs. But what I've recognized is similar to what I said earlier is I don't have to go at this alone. I need to partner with the right people to help me level up and uh, and 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 connect me with the right people or connect me with the right opportunities, and that's how you keep that momentum.
Hmm. I like that. I like that. It's the community aspect, which is what social media is all about. If you put it together, you can really create your community, whether it's in IG, whether it's LinkedIn, especially from a career
Hmm.
standpoint. That's pretty key.
Yeah,
It
you
goes back to
talking.
having, oh, I'm sorry, Kevin, it
No,
goes
you
back
go
to
ahead.
having conversation. Having
Hmm.
conversation means that two people or multiple parties that you're engaged in what each other is sharing, and
Uh,
it's simple, but it has a huge impact. If you're sharing what I'm sharing, if we're sharing with each other and you're excited about what the other person is sharing, you can help each other both learn and grow.
I like that. So share with us. You mentioned something really like interesting to me. At 16, I don't think I was even knowing what a Fortune 500 company was. let alone you interned with one. So we have young listeners. We've had some young, upper comers on the show, and they've had their own companies. They've had
Yeah.
athletic skill. They've had technology skills. Talk to us about, even to our younger listeners, how did you do that? Like at 16, you got capped for Abbott Laboratories. I mean, what is Abbott? Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, how did you get on with them and in the capacity of human resource at such an early age?
Yeah, I really was involved in multiple activities and really diversified, similar to as I've grown in my career, I've diversified my background. And so I take all of my expertise and share that wealth of information. And I love doing it. What it was is I was in high school and I was part of a number of different activities and National Honor Society and Abbott at the time, which is a global pharmaceutical company. They have a Explorer post, an Explorer program. And so I had been identified as someone of interest. And for me, the message is always say yes to an opportunity, even if it feels outside of your comfort zone, because you don't know where it's going to lead. It doesn't have to be along the same path where you think you're going, because you'd be amazed at, I was in sports and I was doing cheerleading and I was doing basketball and I was doing bowling and I was, national honor society. I was just part of a diverse background that allowed me to network
Mm-hmm.
and build connections. And that I didn't necessarily go that route, but it started to build a foundation for me. And even back at 16, there's lessons that I learned that helped me grow and that I apply as part of who I am today.
Nice, nice.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you prepare individuals for setting themselves up for negotiations when it comes down to compensation? Like I said, this is the money segment right here.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
So for me, it's all about the research. First of all, it's confidence. Listen, every time you go into an interview, it's 50-50. You're interviewing the company as much as they're interviewing you. And that's a mind shift that we have to have, because as much as you want the interviewer to prepare, the company needs to prepare and get the candidate excited about the culture, about how are you going to help me grow as much as how are you, how am I going to help you grow? And so bringing it back around to the money conversation is research, and always go in with specific examples that support your evidence, that support your thoughts. And so, but if you start that early, if you identify your unique traits and you bridge the gap between your background and your expertise, and you look at the company's mission and vision and principles and values, what you have to do is blend that and deliver it in a nice, clear, concise, cohesive, meaningful message. If you start that from the beginning of building your resume, even before that, with creating a career journal and into the resume and the stories that you share and the details, and then that translates into the interview and the details that you share about yourself. When it comes to that conversation, it makes it a lot easier, because
Mm,
you've established that unique value of why you're the best choice and why they have to have you. It's not just about technically what I can do for you, but this is, are we going to both get up and get excited to work with each other every day? But
nice.
you have to come in with the examples, you have to come in with the support. It's the same thing when you're sharing the value that you bring. You have to come in with specific evidence that's memorable and unique to you.
Nice. So let's jump into the power
All
portion,
right.
Kevin. Oh, we don't hear you. Wait, wait, wait. There you go.
There we go. Just trying to give you the full voice and let you have the stage, and forgot to come back on the mic.
That's okay.
One of the things that we like to talk about is how do you strengthen yourself as you're pursuing your dream, your goals. You're in a current position, you want to move up, even in relationships. So, in terms of the employment aspect, if you're trying to attract power, and you're trying to move and or work out things, how do you deal with this issue? So what should like an employee who's not happy, who's disgruntled, or what should, let me rephrase it, what should
Mhm.
disgruntled employees or small business owners do to obtain power, in terms of how do they work out their differences and still
Mhm.
feel empowered to still, want to be with that company, do well, but at the same time, as a business owner, you need to establish your presence and your position in your organization.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's a good question. That's a good
Yeah.
question.
It comes back to the environment that you create and the empowerment for each other. And so what I mean is you have to both be approachable, right? You have to create a culture. So I'm thinking of a story actually. One of the individuals that I saw his story, and he's the owner of a company, and his employee came to him and made a mistake, lost an entire quarter's worth of profit. Entire quarter, not a project, not an entire quarter, right? You
Wow.
want to talk about money, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So normally in that case, probably an employee would resign and be like, I don't even know how I can come out of this, right?
Yep.
Or the owner's completely unapproachable. So the employee comes in, admits their mistake, and the owner said, and the employee's getting ready to be fired. And the owner says, I'm not going to fire you. What are you going to do to fix this? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change this around so that I can empower you, right? It goes back to conversation, goes back to communication. If you're not getting something, ask for it. If you ask and you don't get it, then you need to start looking at other opportunities or other paths, right? But if you
Mm,
can build that initially in that environment, it makes it so much more enjoyable, right? The company still has the power, but the individual has power too, right? That there's balance in the communication. And so that employee actually went, fixed that mistake, and made it better and made more of a profit than, if I understand correctly, than what they would have actually lost initially,
wow. Wow.
right?
So
And we don't hear that story often,
right, right.
and that should be the norm.
So could you repeat that once again? Because that was a very powerful point that you made, is the importance of making the request
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
making it both ways. Repeat that one more time because that's a very powerful statement.
Yeah, you have to ask. If you don't if you have to be willing to ask, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
ask and then it's not given to you, you have to consider other opportunities. Often we go in and we become an employee and we think that we owe everything to the employer, right? And
Right.
that they don't necessarily owe anything back to us. And that's a huge mind shift that has to happen. That, again, whether it's an interview, it's 50-50, whether it's an employer and employer relationship, it's 50-50. And it is significant to, if you have a balance of power and a balance of respect, then there's a lot of good that can come out of it. But if it's one sided, right? At one point, you have to challenge yourself and say, right? What do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over
Oh.
and expecting different results,
Mm-hmm.
right? So at one point, you have to move past that hurdle and say, okay, this isn't what I'm getting, right? Ask yourself, kind of keep a pulse on, I'm bringing value, am I getting value? If you're not, ask. And ideally it's an environment similar to the story I shared, that's where you're approachable and you can communicate and say, hey, I'm not getting this, or I'm bored, or I need to be challenged, or I need more money, or whatever that question is. But you have to ask, because if you don't ask, either you won't get it or you might get it if you ask, right? And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't, then you have to look at other opportunities, excuse me, because there's value that you bring.
Let me
That's
jump
right.
in here, Lori. It's interesting. You gave me a flashback. I saw my life flash right before you as you told me that story, as you told our audience that story. It's a true story. Um, my second real life job, I had this actually happen to me. I was
Yeah.
in a sales manager type of position. I wasn't. I was a startup, and I was learning on the fly. We literally were initiating this, and my employer said, "Hey, man, you're not hitting your numbers." This was the managing director. I was a corporate services manager. Hey, what are you gonna do to fix this? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So he gives it back to me and says, "Hey, come back." I try to fix it. I didn't do a good enough job. Next week he says, "What are you gonna do to fix this?" I said, "Oh man, I'm gonna come back and do it again." And then the next week, the third time, he said, "Man, you really got to get this together, or you know what's gonna happen, right?"
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So during that next time, I came back and I said, "I'm going to fix this. I'm going to say my goals and the company goals aren't aligned anymore." And it just didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
And
And look
at
where you
some
are
point,
today
yeah.
and all the
So
success.
yeah. So at some point,
Yeah.
this actually is a very true exercise that you can be in the midst of doing something, and then you can try to improve it. And then at the same time, if it's really not getting the results for you, your employer, at some
Mm-hmm.
point you do have the option. I had several other people trying to recruit me for other things, and I took advantage of that. But it didn't end bad. It
Right.
just was an amicable break because I knew at some point I wanted to get back into sports. And
Right.
but I gave it a shot. I gave my best shot. Appreciate you, giving me that shot. My former boss, I appreciate you, man. Because you helped me get to the NBA. So hey, I can't be mad at that.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's
exactly.
right.
See, and if that hadn't come about, maybe, right, your
Hmm.
path would have taken a different direction. And
Oh, it
so
would totally been another direction, no
it's
doubt.
it's continuously about stepping out of that comfort zone. And
Mhm.
even a simple question that I always tell the candidates and clients that I'm working with is just ask questions. Something as simple as when they get the call to interview, it's, they get all excited, they get prepared, and they just start preparing kind of a diverse amount of stories. But so many clients come back to me and say, I never thought of this question. Ask the recruiter what excites them about your background. Why not go
Okay.
into it and have them tell you, right? But we're conditioned to not ask, right? But go in
Mhm.
and ask. Let them share the information that you need to, communicate to stand out,
Mhm.
right? Go in with alternatives. I can do it this way. I can approach it this way. You can try different methods, but at one point, ideally it works. And if it doesn't in your situation, you embrace it and say, thanks. It doesn't
Yep.
have to be the same
Yeah,
career.
I saved myself from being fired.
That's the
Yeah,
power move right there.
Hey, I knew what time. What is the Kenny Rogers? Know when to fold
Fold
'em.
that's
them,
right. Oh,
the
I didn't
wind to
know we had
rock
some
away.
karaoke. All right, I would have tuned up a little.
That's right. That's right.
Just trying to liven it up. That's all. But no.
I love it.
So, we're going to conclude because we got 2 more minutes before
Yeah.
break.
Oh man. Go
But
ahead,
you
Coach
can hang
Lord.
out
You
with
doing
us
good.
as
You
we
can
go
hang
into the next our next guest. But on a respect level, and one of the non-medallions is confidence.
Hmm.
So could you share with us what is the fine line of being confident and cocky in order to garner respect?
Yeah. It's a balance of not being egotistical, but confident in the way that I'd rather you lean on bragging. It's being proud of your accomplishments, and that's okay.
Hmm.
It's showcasing that unique value, that you are different, and that we have to embrace how we're all different, because that's what makes us all unique, and that's what makes us learn and grow from each other. If we were all the same, we'd all know the same information. That would be boring,
Right, right.
right? And so communicating that confidence, and I speak all the time, and it's building an inner circle. I have a couple of really strong people that I'm talking to clients all the time, and I hear their success stories, so I know that they're accomplishing great things, but still having that inner circle that is empowering you and elevating you, and and challenging you is so important to, again, it goes back to community, it goes back to network, it goes back to partnering with people who aren't like you, that have talent in different areas, but go back to embracing the unique traits that you have and the accomplishments and the achievements that you've you know done so far.
That is awesome. Well, on that note, we're just going to go on break for about 2 minutes. We got to pay some bills. And you can hang out with us as we bring in our next guest, Jason Gilliam Alexander. So once again, this is Power
Thank
Move.
you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Lord. We certainly understand if you're busy, you got to do your thing. But
community is, this platform is important, and I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, Maestro, put us on commercial. We're gonna go on mute.
DJ CEO, turn it up.
We'll be back in 2 and 2, in the words of Chuck Woolery, right?
Yes. Appreciate it.
Hello, Kubo. What have you got planned for today?
Come on, this way.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
It's the most powerful magic there is.
Head outside to discover incredible animals.
Wow.
And beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure. So grab your loved ones and explore a world of possibilities. Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
My teacher said that we should have a plan in case of an emergency. Do we have one?
First thing I'm going to do is grab a flashlight with dead batteries.
I'm going to start randomly throwing clothes in the bag. You two will be hiding in the closet and Dad won't be able to find you.
And that's when we both start crying.
Uncontrollably. Can you pass the cutlets?
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Search Ready Kids at nyc.gov or call 311. Brought to you by the New York City Office of Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. Separated. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time. Had no idea how to find each other. The whole experience was the most frightening 10 hours of my life. If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan. Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Attract power and how they earn respect. Waiting on our next guest here. There he is, my man from Hollis, Queens in the house. Let me give my man the right introduction here. So who we have here is my man whose love for basketball started early in the years of Hollis, Queens, Run DMC, Mark Jackson, LL Cool J, etc., etc. And he had a distinguished basketball career during high school, which was our high school, Malloy High School. Went to college. His skill set him up after he was a Hall of Fame basketball player at Stetson University. Was going to go play for Lithuania, played a couple of games, decided, don't want to do that. So he declined the offer and decided to go leverage his academic and entrepreneurial passion of developing organizations predicated upon giving back to student athletes through education, sports, and professionalism. That's why he's called the Protege. As a matter of fact, he has his own nonprofit called the JPA Protege, MVP, Mentoring Value Proteges. And basically, he's been coaching with notable basketball camps such as Pro Camps, Kenny Smith, Carolina Camp, Oak Hill Academy, All Star Basketball, Big Brother, Big Sisters, Norris Cole Camp, The Champion, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the main key things about this gentleman right here is that he focuses on 5 core areas, and that is leadership, athletics, academics, career development, and health and wellness. And that's why his organization, Mentoring Valuable Proteges, is his parent company and his LLC. So let's welcome to the show my man that I've known for over a couple of decades, right? Mr. JGA, Mr. Jason Gilliam Alexander in the house. What's up?
What's going on, Jason? What's happening, brother? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got a couple of names. Got a couple of names and stuff. You sound a little faded out. We might need to put your speaker up on the computer or whatever case may be.
How's that sound?
Just a little bit better.
A little bit
better. A little bit more. Maybe you could pull the microphone closer to you or something.
Okay, I'm on a laptop, so.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to deal with the best we got right now. We can hear you to some degree. We can't hear all of you, but man, welcome to the show. We appreciate you being on. Certainly, Jason. Man, you real well. You were close to us. Where are you at now? Where do you live, Jason? Where are you living at? I'm in Miami. Okay. So you right here in the same state here. So let's talk a little bit about, as an elite athlete at Stetson, Hall of Fame, etc. How did your passion for basketball allow you to move into a place where you could make money from it, as a business, as either a player or as a businessman? How did it allow you to do that?
Well, I would say the seed was planted probably my sophomore year at Archbishop Malloy, where I was not allowed to come to school for 3 weeks because my mom could not afford the tuition. So as a result, Coach Carr led me to an opportunity that summer where I was able to work for a company called Zena Jeans in the garment district under the auspices of Dick Gilbert. Kenny Anderson had worked there the year before, and Dick got me a job. Coach Curran got me a job there working with Dick, and the agreement was that I would work and I would be paid, and I would save every paycheck to pay for my upcoming tuition as a junior. Luckily, I worked hard, and Dick was pretty impressed and allowed me to keep my paycheck and proceeded to give me a charitable opportunity, and he paid my tuition. But I really worked for it. So that's when I realized that basketball, it was important, but it wasn't everything. Because in that experience of going to Manhattan every day and being among the elite in the garment and fashion business, I realized that there's a lot of people who are extremely successful, and all they do is play basketball at a country club on weekends. And so I think that's where the seed for the entrepreneurialism really came face to face with my love for the game. So that's when it first really dawned on me that I could be successful without using a basketball.
Yeah, what a powerful story, man. The fact that you were working and you recognize that a lot of young people don't connect the dots, but I'm so glad you got a chance to show your medal, and then you got it taken care of as well as earn some income. So that's huge. That's huge. Great story for our young people listening. Put in the work, you all, and it'll have some nice returns. Go ahead, Joel.
It's funny because Coach Curran has been very influential in all of our lives at going to Malloy. He was a power networker. He'll just pick up the phone, like you said, Jason, and be like, all right, let me get you this job. Or, Joel, you want to go to NYU? All right, fine, let me make this phone call and let me just do the introduction, and all of a sudden, bam. And so, can you share with us how networking has been your superpower? Because you took that from Coach Curran, and how did you develop that into relationships that elevated you and your business?
I think one of the things about being a student athlete or being a prominent student athlete is there is an intrinsic calling for public speaking, right? After games are over, the recruiting process, having to communicate with teammates, coaches, the lectures that your parents and your family give you, understanding the ebonics and different languages that the crowd and the audience can give you when you're playing well or not playing well.
Right.
I think the whole culture of being an athlete forced me to communicate. And I read a lot. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of things about basketball. I read the newspaper. I read the funny section, the comic section. I read the back of cereal boxes as I ate Frosted Flakes. So I was always reading, and I think that gave me a decent vocabulary. So I was never intimidated to have a conversation with anyone, right? You're being recruited by Dean Smiths and Bob Knights and Mike Krzyzewski's. They talk to you. You have to be able to carry a conversation. My mother talked to me religiously at the dinner table, right? And so developing interpersonal skills, it was the foundation. From there, I think it had a lot to do with my personality, just being an athlete, playing in all types of environments, right? From all over the country. You become comfortable in your own skin.
Right.
For me too, being able to read, being comfortable in my own skin, and then being a social individual. You know, growing up in Hollis, Queens, you were friends with the whole neighborhood. Everybody knew me, you know, from playing or things I did athletically. So you develop a following, right? We rode our bikes to different parts of Queens. So I was always interacting with people in and out of my neighborhood. And so I developed a comfort zone with myself. And then that went on to, you know, really flourish at the collegiate level, where now you're doing things in a much bigger way with television, newspaper, and media. And, you know, frankly speaking, you know, being a good athlete, I always had people in my face. And I just got to be comfortable with myself. And then, you know, just always watching my mentor, Kenny Smith and Kenny Anderson, and guys that I looked up to like Rod Strickland, and obviously Mark Jackson was from my neighborhood. I watched these guys do interviews on ESPN for the NCAA and the NBA, and subsequently, these guys are now the voice and the face of the NBA for talking. And a lot of the things they say are things that we've talked about over the course of our lives, right? One of the biggest talking points and talking places is the barbershop. So it's that and the third. So, you know, just taking those interpersonal skills and having an entrepreneurial spirit, I think I did a nice job of marrying the two. And then you put a formal education behind it and a desire to read. And I think here you have it. Right?
Excellent, Jason. Talk about for us, you know, in terms of, you know, what does it take to develop power and influence? You know, can you share an example of how you position yourself in that manner and what you do or what you did something in the past? Talk about that.
I think presumably a lot of people think that I'm spoiled because of the relationships that I have, the people that I've been privileged to be mentored by, but they have no idea how I get up and go after it myself. And I'll give you an example. My relationship with Mark Jackson, I don't work for ESPN. I'm not coaching on the sidelines. My relationship with Kenny the Jet Smith, I'm not working for TNT, nor am I coaching on the sidelines, right? But because I watched those mentors and people in front of me, I position myself to work with an organization called Pro Camps, right? They do basketball camps for pro athletes. Dwayne Wade, Joakim Noah, Dwight just started folks who's I worked with these guys at their pro camps, right? But that was an opportunity that a colleague of mine, John Key, had first brought to me back in 2010. I said, "Hey, I got an opportunity for you to work at, Dwayne Wade's basketball camp, for 2 days. It's not much money, but would you like to do it?" And I said, "Sure," because I have a love for the game. I love what the game. I love the access that the game gives me to people that I look up to. I love the access that the game provides me to reach young minds. When I see them, I see myself. And just the love for the game and all that is right with the game powered me to make that decision. And I was able to work with all of these pro athletes, right? And that's not something that Coach Curran or Coach Steve Smith, who coached me at Oak Hill Academy, or Al Skinner at Rhode Island, or Dan Hipsher at Stetson, none of those guys called me to say, "Hey, Protege, I have a gig for you, an opportunity." That was me never thinking that I'm too good to keep my ear to the ground and develop grassroots relationships. And when you work with people's children, that's different than doing business with those guys or those, professionals or women. When you do right by people's children, there's a bond that you share that is really unexplainable. And because I worked with John Key's son and he gave me a contract for MVP with the city of Miramar, our first contract, I thought that him giving me the opportunity to be a part of Wayne Wade's camp, something that was forwarded to him because he was a leader of the sports program for that city, said, "Hey, Jason, would you like to be a part of that?" I said, "Sure." And then sure enough, that was parlayed into multiple opportunities. Shane Battier, what's the big 7-footer who was on the Brooklyn Nets? Brooke Lopez. I've worked so many camps for pro camps, and I've learned so much. And then in turn, what I've been able to learn from those opportunities, I'm able to share with my audience, with other coaches that I develop, and just teaching. Being a teacher of education, of sports, of health and wellness, I'm able to leverage the things that I experience from all of those professionals and bring it back to the collegiate, high school, and grassroots level. And so being a conveyor of the right information, all because I'm humble and I'm willing to work with people shoulder to shoulder and side by side. I think that is how networking, and I was able to parlay the networking aspect, into a career path and as a skill set, Kevin. Mm-hmm. So that's something excellent. I really take pride in.
Yeah,
I mean, in so many ways, a closed mouth doesn't get fed, does it?
Nope. Nope. Hey, I see Coach Lori over there shaking her head.
Yeah, what you got to say, Coach Lori? We're gonna bring you in the mix here.
Bring you back here. You give us a little drop a little knowledge on us, because Protege just I don't know if there's any more to come back on that one.
It's amazing though, right? It's I mean, we're talking, different careers, different professions, but we're talking about the same thing: networking, mm-hmm. building relationships, community, conversation. Mm-hmm. It's what makes us grow and flourish, mm-hmm. right? And advance ourselves and challenge ourselves and become that success, whatever that is for each one of us. Whatever that looks like for you, it can be.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
That's I tell you that it's those qualities, and that's the reason why I love to bring executives and former athletes, and because, like, once again, like I mentioned from the very beginning, what Tamar Braxton is going through and a lot of celebrities go through, they're all human beings. Mm-hmm. It's how you develop those skills in which you can navigate through all the turmoils or things that happen to you in life. Which brings me to my next question. So, how did you grow your nonprofit from a small seed to like a powerhouse that has blossomed, Jason. Like, how did you do that?
I'm nicknamed the Protege by Vincent Smith, Kenny Smith's older brother. And like a barbecue pit, one charcoal got lit, and then everyone began to call me that. But, Vincent still calls me every day like I'm still 12 years old. So when you talk about a mentor, right, who met me at 9 years old at the Bernard King and Ernie Brentfeld camp, and now I'm 47, for 39 years, he's been in the foxhole with me and just keeping consistent communication, right? And, they don't make people like that anymore.
No.
So when Vincent moved to Houston, and right before I became a dad, I went to Houston to reorganize what I want to do professionally, because I had basically took a sabbatical from basketball after college graduation. I had a contract offer. I declined. Everybody had a fit because I had entrepreneurialism on my mind since I had worked for Zena Jeans or Archbishop Malloy. So when I went to Houston, I realized that Vincent was still working out and training a lot of kids, but they were actually paying him. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is like 2000. And I said, man, he used to train us all for free. We never exchanged a penny. Right. If anything, he paid me car fare and food to work out. It was like a role reversal. I got paid just to be at the gym. Not literally, but figuratively speaking.
Right.
And so as I was watching the trend of grassroots basketball, and it was behind me in the rear view, I could now see that the elite players are sponsored, right? For their brands. They want to tap into grassroots talent early on, establish their brand, their rapport, and then be there for those athletes on the back end when they become professionals. What about the 99% of the basketball community who wants to become elite, wants to make their travel team or be a starter or be a standout? What do they have to do to become the Kenny Andersons, the LeBron James, the Jason Kidds coming out of high school? Well, they have to seek it. They have to go get that work. They have to find trainers, find teams, find opportunities. And generally, I would probably say 2/3 of that 100%, they're willing to pay for it. They're willing to pay someone like Joel Sylvain to come out 3 times a week and show them how to do the Tim Hardaway crossover. They'll pay the protege, twice a week at a rate to show them how to properly use the beef, balance, eyes, elbows, footwork on their jump shot. They'll pay a Vincent Smith or a major NCAA guard. And so I realized there was a market for training. And what I wanted to do was deliver the training to the masses, right? But I had also uncovered some key information in my senior research thesis at Stetson University, which was a study on the relationship between athletic participation and academic performance. And what I wanted to tease out of the study was to really uncover that student athletes are putting all their eggs in the basket of being a pro athlete. I call it the Jackie Robinson syndrome. Everybody wants to be on the cover of a Wheatie box. But when you don't make it, what happens to you, right? What are the statistics? What are maybe less than 0.004% of all high school athletes are going to become a pro. The numbers were astounding, and it actually discouraged me from wanting to pursue my basketball career as a professional, because I said I'll never make the NBA, right? My intelligence was working against me, and so I figured that I needed to use basketball in reverse, meaning the sport is the carrot, right? Everybody wants to be Barry Sanders, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, Barry Bonds. But when you don't make it, a lot of my friends were living on their mother's sofas, depressed. Graduates from Michigan, Texas, UCLA, major schools. You would think that the alumni made things possible for them. You would think they had a great major and a great job opportunity available for them. But really, many of the true die-hard athletes to be, when they don't make it, they think that their lives are failures because they're such winners. And a lot of them just become members of a general workforce. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's a sense of failure. And understanding that whole dichotomy said, I need to look at the masses, those people who aren't going to make the professional ranks. We have to leverage sports to get them to truly understand the value of the other areas of life, like leadership, like academics, like career development, like health and wellness, right? Career development doesn't really for the intense grassroots student athlete because they're constantly training. We don't do internships. We don't do volunteer. We may do community service just to be a part of something, but never with intent of developing a career whereby our counterparts who are true students, maybe as early as 14, 15, they're doing internships with their parents or doing volunteer work through various programs that the school offers. And then that actually accelerates at the college level. But meanwhile, the ball player, the football player, the Major League Baseball player, hopeful, no, he's in the weight room. He's in the film room. And so when they don't make it, they're really ill-equipped against their counterpart. Of which you have a mass, 500, 1,000 hours of volunteer work or internship. You're behind. Now you have a degree, and that's what they sold us on. Have something to fall back on. But when you really get into the workforce with your Bachelor of Science in Sociology, your job is waiting for you. You have to go out and compete against people who never played sports. They prepared themselves for the workforce their whole lives. And so understanding this dynamic, I decided to use sport as the carrot to get Kevin, to get Lori, to get Joel interested, right, in the other things that matter because I'm giving them what they want in terms of attention, mentoring through the sport. But in return, I'm able to impress upon them the things that really matter in life, which is leadership, athletics, academics, career development, and health and wellness.
I love it.
That's how I was able to really manifest the mission for that organization because it came as far as I'm concerned, a need, a true need. There was a gaping hole in the athlete sector of our country, whereby many of them, frankly speaking, they had never really prepared themselves. So there you have it, folks.
There you go. So we got to wrap it up, but we got like less than 45 seconds so we could talk about the Jet Academy and your role within the Jet Academy and how that, and it's perfect.
3,000 members on the first day, a response to COVID-19. Our camp, Carolina basketball camp, was canceled. First time in 31 years we weren't able to get together for the summer. That is a huge disappointment emotionally because we become family by blood, by water, by basketball, by kids, by teaching, by responsibility. So his kids were doing some work in their yard. Kenny thought they were shooting a video. Turns out they were doing a Zoom call for his nephew Joseph's middle school kids. He got inside, jumped into the think tank, said, hey, Kegel goes, why don't you do it for our camp, Carolina basketball camp? The light bulb went on. They sat in there a couple of hours. He called me, said, hey, this is what we're doing. We're taking our show to the net, Protege. Here we are, 3,000 members to launch with Kemba Walker. We have a lot more in store. We won't just offer basketball. It'll be more than just a summer camp. This is here to stay. It's the new revolutionary platform because COVID is here to stay. But also, most importantly, if you're really dedicated to being good at something, you better do it yourself. And this platform allows every player to get online, use technology in a positive way to achieve cardiovascular exercise, muscle bone strength exercise, and obviously to work in their game. And they can do it in the confinements of their own home, their own basketball court, anywhere, anytime. It's the new Toys R Us.
That's right.
Hey,
That's
well
right.
said. Hey, how can we follow you? Where's your social handle so we know how to reach you? And even this camp, and then the same for you, Coach Laurie, after Protege.
I'm at the Protege on Instagram and Twitter. That's PROTEJAY. On Facebook, I'm JGA Protege. LinkedIn, Jason Gilm Alexander. Also have my own Jason Gilm Alexander page on Facebook. JetAcademyCamp.com. We're also on Instagram, The Jet Academy. Use code Protege for your discount on all memberships, right? So any membership you want to purchase, you use discount code Protege, you get a course savings. And if you're nice to me, I can hook you up with a giveaway item, possibly by JBL, maybe some earbuds. But that's if you give me in the program a good review.
All right, I'm gonna have my kids sign up right away.
That's right. That's right. And don't forget, we can, don't forget to give them a Power Moves discount as well. A Power Moves or something.
We can do a lot. Once you let me know you are a member, there will be added value features that only someone like the Protege can make happen for you. But I gotta know you're in the program.
That's right. That's
We're gonna follow up with you, Coach Laurie. How can we reach you and follow you?
You can actually find me almost every and anywhere at Career Coach Laurie. Literally at Career Coach Laurie. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. I have a website. Started on TikTok.
I know.
I just dropped my first single, so you might want to check it out. It's hot. I'm saying. I wrote my own lyrics, so that's my side hustle.
She got game. She has mad
But once
game.
again, this is Power Moves. Thank you guys very much. This was a great show. Both you guys are distinguished coaches in terms of helping people improve themselves, look at life in a totally different perspective, and overcome challenges, because there's no challenge that you cannot overcome, because a challenge is nothing but an opportunity. Am I right, Kevin Carr?
Absolutely, man. You took it all the way to the bridge. We're about to drop the mic and close the door on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
DJ CEO, In Touch Radio. Thank you to our guests. Good night.
All right. Once again, this is Power Moves, with celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We out.